Everyone has uniqueness, and we're gonna help you discover that through module number 1, where we're gonna talk a lot about identity and how can we really foster that superpower within each designer that comes to our team. All right, team, we're kicking off module 1. How's everyone feeling?
Good.
Ready? Excited?
Let's do it.
We always start the beginning of our curriculum talking about identity, really questioning our students, making sure that they can identify who they are so they can communicate that to others.
We are complex beings that are made up of multiple layers. I want to introduce 2 tools to you, the diversity dimension and personality identity wheel. These are 2 tools that will help you really dig into the different layers of who you are so you can extract what you want to stand for and integrate that into your personal brand.
So I want everyone to write her name, where she's from, her age.
So looking at the diversity dimension wheel, first you'll look at the inner layer. That's your personality, your unique traits such as, are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? The second layer you'll look at the internal dimension. These are pieces that you cannot control that you are often born with. Think about your age, your race, your ethnicity, your physical capability. The third layer is the external layer. These are pieces that you might have a little bit more control over, such as, are you married or not? Were your parents involved in your life? When you think about education, did you choose to go to college? Were you able to go to college? What schools did you go to? These are pieces around your identity that can make you feel more or less connected. They can make you feel more or less privileged. The last layer is organization. So think of the organizations you're a part of, maybe your church community, your sport community, your school community, right? And how do you interact within those systems? Are you the coach? Are you the player? Are you the trainer? What role do you play? Is there a hierarchy within that? So hopefully through the diversity dimension, as well as the personality identity wheel, you have some time to really dig into who you are and think about what you want to stand for and how you'll integrate that into your personal brand.
All of you will have an opportunity when you're working on your personal brand to identify what your core values are. So for me, some of my core values are generosity, community, compassion, and also creativity. And that's really been my guiding light and how I've been able to operate throughout my career. And it's given me my creative edge. So every project that I have, every shoe I've designed, I've always led with compassion and generosity. Even when I'm interviewing consumers, I'm trying to be compassionate. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes and understand why they do the things that they do. Let's talk a bit about the iconic Superstar's identity. So this shoe was designed in 1969, originally designed to be a basketball shoe. If you look at it, there are particular details on the shoe that speaks primarily to playing basketball. A lot of it has to do with the cup sole bottom, some of the reinforcements that's happening on the upper with the stripes to provide that stability, and also the toe for protection. Now, throughout history, it's become a cultural icon. We can think back to Run DMC and some of the other collaborations that Adidas has done with other influencers throughout culture, which has now given the Superstar a new life and its new identity. Our seed students had an opportunity to also give the Superstar a new life. The shoe's so iconic, it's been spun in a million different ways. It was really fun for our team to actually take our own iteration of this shoe and bring that to life. And we have our materials, so you are going to start to pick out really cool materials that are applicable to the shoe, right? So materials that are breathable for summer.
Maybe reflective here, and then subtle accents could be like some of the threading. The zigzag, I think that would pop if that's what she's going for, but also I don't want it to be too much.
The whole premise of this shoe was really to bring a DIY, do-it-yourself craft feel. All of our designers are unique and creative in different ways, and they all come from different backgrounds. Each designer on our team had a key influence in bringing the product to life. Some are more sporty, so there are sport-inspired materials. There's a material that's reminiscent of a tennis ball and one that's reminiscent of a basketball. We also have designers that are really leaning more towards the art side, so we have paint splattered on some of the upper materials as well. We also have designers on our team that like to repurpose different things that they may find around their home. So we actually have a bandana print material on the back of the collar. Just like the superstar, you also have an identity. Now you're going to find your creative edge and start developing your personal brand.
You can do that by finding the personality identity wheel in your workbook and start to work through it.
We live in a very complex world, right? And there are lots of problems around us that are really waiting for innovative solutions. So in Module 2, you're going to be learning the 3 C's of leadership: collaboration, creativity, and confidence.
We will also be sharing with you how to use your personal brand identity to grow your creativity and integrate that into your personal brand.
Being collaborative is very important in order to be successful as a designer. You may have heard of the lone superstar designer who sits alone and creates marvelous, beautiful products. Well, that is a fallacy. It doesn't really exist. All of the amazing products that you've seen have all been created by amazing teams with lots of different experiences, points of views, and even job functions. There are no bad ideas. What about free as a bird?
It's too cheesy. I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm being honest.
Being confident should be a core pillar in your personal brand identity. It's how you're perceived in an organization. It's a really communal process. So you have to be ready to stand up with your peers and your leaders every day, take feedback, stand firmly to make sure that your ideas are being enhanced to the next level.
Creativity is absolutely important. It's really birthed out of overcoming obstacles, and it has helped me develop as a designer and as a leader. You really have to think about creative ways to solve problems that may arise every day. For me personally, as a people leader, I really want to leverage empathetic creativity. That means that I don't treat every one of our designers as the same. I understand that they're unique, and I have to take really creative approaches to helping them overcome any obstacle that they may be facing. Next, we're actually going to fill our creative toolbox with items that we've collected along our journey. Curiosity is one of our key values here at Seed, and that's what we're actually going to be cultivating through this exercise. Jessica and I picked out a few items that we're going to add into our own creativity toolbox.
This item is the first go-to-market product from our first generation with Seed, and it really signifies confidence and collaboration for me. It makes me feel like I'm not alone, that I have a creative community behind me, and that I can face any challenge that the day brings.
My first item is a really great book. It's called The War of Art: Breaking Through the Blocks and Winning Your Creative Inner Battles. I'm sure that you've experienced moments of creativity block, right? Times when you really either had to write a paper or you're working on a concept and you just kept hitting a wall. This is a great book that has lots of ideas and ways to kind of break through some of those barriers.
Another item is this bracelet. It actually is an opal. It signifies my birth month, and it comes from my great-grandmother, who was really an inspirational person to me. We often think about the future as a source of inspiration, but this reminds me that the past can be very inspirational as well.
For me, when I think back to my childhood, I spent a lot of time playing basketball out on the court. I had basketballs in my room. It was really like my best friend and something I carried along with me. So I actually have a basketball textured material that I could potentially use on a shoe in the future that I'm going to add to our creativity box. Next, you're going to finish filling your creative toolbox by answering all the questions in your prompt workbook. We really wanted to help our students foster their own point of view and their uniqueness, and then we can add the technical skills on top of that foundation of knowing who you are, knowing that as a designer, you have the power to change the world. So in Module 3, you're going to learn about the design brief and how to answer it.
We will teach you the behaviors that make up every creative innovator's DNA and how to use those and channel them. We want to give you some insight so that when you get stuck or want to grow your creativity, you have something you can pull from. Do you think you are born with creativity? Do you think it's something that can change over time? These are questions that authors of The Innovator's DNA posited. They decided to observe some of the most innovative leaders of our time. Trends developed into discovery skills. And these are core tenets of our design curriculum at SEED. The first discovery skill is questioning. Questioning is the beginning of new ideas and where they start from. A method that you might or might not be familiar with is the 5 why method.
I'm gonna ask why 5 times, just so that we can really kind of get down to the essence. This is a place where we should have lots of different answers and different associations.
Another discovery skill that I'd like is observation. A lot of our questions stem from observation, especially as designers. Let's talk about the superstar. So rewind decades ago, basketball players are playing, and some designers noticed that they kept getting injuries on their foot, stemming from dragging their feet while they're playing. And so the shell toe, it didn't come as a design aesthetic. It actually came from a need from an athlete to keep them safe, protected while they play. One of the most powerful discovery skills is associative thinking. This is when you take 2 unlike ideas and put them together to create something new. Think telephone and computer to create the modern day smartphone. So as you're practicing some of these other discovery skills like questioning and observation, use those insights to create new associative patterns.
What do you all associate to freedom? What are some either words, colors, animals?
I was also thinking about summer because it's usually a break time where there's like no real schedule, just like pure vibes.
So now that we've introduced really key concepts to you, we're gonna actually hop into doing the work. Your brief for this project is to reimagine the iconic superstar, specifically for a person in your life, someone you have access to. Observe them playing their very favorite sport or activity. Observe them, question them, and then build associative thinking and ideas around the insights that you've gotten. Caleb, I'm gonna interview you. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Why is skate one of your favorite sports to participate in?
I feel very free. I feel this rush, this kind of electric feeling when I'm skating. It also allows me to be present during those moments.
Maybe they like going to the mall, just hanging out with friends, or maybe they like playing video games or running or hiking. So just imagine what they would love to be doing and imagine them doing it in a superstar that you designed personally for them. The next step of our process is to populate our product design brief.
A design brief is nothing more than a document that outlines the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the product.
The brief is where you're going to take all of the insights from your interview and start to put it all together on one page. It's really going to be the framework to aid you when you start to design your products. As humans, we process information and we retain information through stories. So storytelling and the ability to build a product narrative is so important and intrinsic to design. It's going to enable us to choose colors, materials, and really create a product that resonates with our consumer. All right, I think you all can start ideating on what a product narrative can be. Take some of the insights that you gathered from the interview and then start to bring in some inspiration.
When creating a product narrative, you really want to think about your consumer. If it's like during a summer day and it's hot, you want to choose a material that's lightweight and breathable. So maybe you don't want to use a synthetic leather, but instead you want to use like a knit, a canvas, or even a mesh.
What are the particular needs that your consumer has? Those things are then going to start to inform your shape, the form of your product. Freedom was a key word that she mentioned throughout the insights. We want to create a design in a shoe that when Caleb looks at it, she sees freedom, and it makes her want to go skate more. You can leverage colors such as blue, which is calming, or you can start to think about songs that that person really would associate with freedom. And those are ways that you can start to bring back that associative thinking, start to add those details that can help you fill out your product narrative.
We're also doing a lot of movement, so you tend to get a lot of heat in the foot around this area. So I was thinking maybe having a mesh material on the tongue.
So we want to write breathability down. Think about the lateral side of the shoe and ways to actually protect it if Caleb's going to start doing more tricks. All of it should be focused around this idea of being free and freedom. Now that you have your brief, find your customer and start observing them.
Use what you have learned to answer the prompts within your workbook. When you finish, head on over to Module 4.
An idea is just an idea until you get someone else to buy into it.
In this module, you will learn how to pitch yourself and your career and how to pitch your designs in the industry.
In your workbook, you will leverage your personal brand to write the final pitch of your reimagined superstar.
We're also going to envision your future with a career mapping exercise.
Let's go back to our product narrative exercise. The product narrative is really going to influence how your product comes to life from an emotion standpoint. The product narrative is the place where you really kind of let your creativity go wild, right? Go back to your design brief. You really want to hone in on the how and the why. Why does your consumer perform their favorite activity, and how does it actually make them feel? Freedom was a key word that she mentioned. We want to create a design in a shoe that when Caleb looks at it, she sees freedom. You want to design a product that feels emotional. So if you got an insight that your consumer feels free, that's when we start to identify what colors do they associate with freedom, what types of materials they associate with that word as well, and then how can you bring that to life on the product. And then from blue, I think you talked about the ocean. So I'm gonna write ocean here. You also want to think about graphics. If there are graphic details that someone associates with freedom, like a wave, like the ocean, or some type of physical illustration, you can even freehand some artwork on your shoe that makes your consumer feel free. There's so much power in a name. You really want to be thoughtful. Go back to the narrative, right? What's the theme? What's the name of the sneaker? We want to come up with as many sneaker name ideas as possible because that's going to also inspire the rest of what we do. Do you all have ideas?
Journeys.
Journeys. Okay. Write that down as an option. Everyone should have their own sneaker name. The name should align with the product narrative that you really want to tell.
It's really important to be able to pitch your idea and yourself in this industry. In order to bring your product to life, you're going to have to work across a myriad of teams to make sure that your vision is a vision that others buy into and want to invest their time and resources to bring to life. Storytelling is a critical part of your presentation, and in this approach, you want to think less is more. So first, you're going to start with the hook. Introduce your story with a one-liner. Then you want to move into the story arc, answering those questions around the who, the what, the when, the why, and the how. Next, you want to use the power of visualization. Think about what's going to really bring your audience in and connect to the story that you're sharing. And lastly, the big takeaway, a strong call to action, making sure that the audience is as invested in your story as you are.
Next, we're going to hop into the career roadmap. The career roadmap is a one-page document that enables you to plot out your career moving forward. If you remember in the beginning, in the very first module where we talked about identity, you actually had the opportunity to write your career mission statement. So that mission statement is your guiding light. That should really be at the very top so that every next step that you take is getting you closer to fulfilling that career mission. For myself, there were things that I really wanted to accomplish in my career. I really wanted to teach other designers how to be successful in our industry. So I actually plotted out on my career map that I wanted to go back to school and learn more about instructional design and technology. So that was one of the critical experiences I needed to have in one of my design roles. With your career map at the very top of your document, that's going to help you when you have to make decisions on which job to take. Consider where am I going and what do I want to accomplish, and that should help you choose what your next steps are going to be on your way to achieving that mission.
Thinking back to Module 1 when we did the exploration around identity, I want to remind you that you are your superpower. Your unique identity and the way that you communicate that to others is your personal brand, and it's what's going to set you apart. And when you're ready to take your career to the next level, check out your workbook and come find us at Seed.